Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Today we're going to be doing some special selections. You guys know me, I love my special selections. You guys have some phenomenal choices, recommendations, whatever you want to call them, selections, if you will. And I'm always real fond of checking out the special selection stuff. So Tim Reed comes at us today with some Artificial Silence, specifically The Advocate, but if possible, he would like The Advocate and Our Happy Home and Manifest and Expose. Just like a triple hit right there. So he says 25 minutes total. We've done 30-minute songs for special selections, so I figure let's go for it. We'll do all four. Especially since a lot of the meat is right at the beginning. We got a 12-minute song in The Advocate, and then just 8, and then just 2, and then just 3. So, I was thinking about just doing 2, but I'm like, we're almost done at 2. We only got 5 minutes left, so I say whatever. We'll just finish it up. We'll do the whole gapless song right here. So, let's get around to this. You guys ready? I'm ready. Let's go. Yeah. So there's a bit of haunting beauty at the beginning. And I'd say we almost had like some Baroque Renaissance style inspiration, influence. And then we're moving into jazz. And it's really interesting to kind of hear those back to back. Ooh, yeah. That tone right there is very nostalgic for me. The keyboard tone. Oh, that was a smooth transition. Yeah. I really like the contrast here where we're seeing a lot of rhythmic elements tied up with heavy melody. That was another tone that's very nostalgic for me. I'll touch on that later. I like that rhythmic synergy going on there between the bass kicks and... Is that a muted piano? I mean a muted piano, a muted guitar? Is there any musical talent these guys do not possess? I like how they left in the breaths too. I think it adds a lot to the music. Almost like a percussive element.
I never knew things could end this way, with so much hurt, so much pain. Much more than my heart has ever felt before.
Ooh. That was an interesting leading tone there.
I never knew things could end this way, with so much hurt, so much pain. I miss you more, much more than my heart has ever felt before. I never knew things could end this way, with so much hurt, so much pain. I miss you more, much more than my heart has ever felt before.
I keep expecting that to go up, and he brings it down. Catches me off guard every time. I really like the use of pedal notes right here. It's not overly used, but it's still present. I dig that. Like that piano run, there's all the notes are dancing around a single note.
What do you do when your heroes left you? And you could have been the one to put a mind at ease. Obscure and unrecognizable patterns drawn, unknown to the host. The depths beyond what you've been led to believe. And so she saw the stars.
Ooh, what?
Every desperate word became merged into a helpless situation. That stillness of her heart, so cold and forlorn, she falls for one last time. She never leaves her side.
Alright, we're jumping around between all sorts of stuff. It's really cool to hear all these influences come together into a single idea, though. I love the use of panning here. It makes it almost sound like a hocket, even though it's probably just one instrument. Not entirely seamless, but it's gonna be good enough, I suppose. Yeah, so really stark change. We were almost getting into like a heavier gent kind of thing.
All it takes is just a little bit of effort. All it takes is just a little bit, so try. Follow to the lead now. They think of all that's happened, all that's been bled and sacrificed. A little else like her is all they ever wanted her to be.
I love almost everything about this, but if they just did a cappella for 20 minutes, I think I'd still be happy. Just phenomenal harmonies. Their stuff is just so uplifting, even when it gets heavier.
place they used to live, a shadow of a faux Brazilian, and their own capacity to give, replaced by the strain and the weight.
Even though this is a fairly straightforward section, I really appreciate how the drummer has thrown in some little subtle rhythmic change-ups. Where did we get some 41 in here? Yeah, that chord right there. That's the Prog chord. I associate that so hard with Prog. That's own choice. Isn't that the bass part from a Queens of the Stone Age track? Like, that's gotta be an homage, because it's even just the bass by itself bringing in the next section. I love those grace notes. I'm telling you, there's some jazz influence in here. This is a song of homages. There's so much. Yes. That's something we just do not see a lot of in rock and metal, is the drum solo. It's more of a jazz thing. Drummers tend to get to show off during live sets where they have, the segment to show off. Love hearing it in a song though. I wish this part were quieter though. I'm going to talk about dynamics later. Oh, alright, this is the end of the track. Straight up Disney soundtrack right there. Classic Disney soundtrack. Dude, these guys are just phenomenal composers. Like, the fact they can play it all too is equally impressive, but they just have such a mind for music. Why does any of this work together? Whoa. That was a slick transition. I barely even realized that we switched over to a different chord quality for the progression. They changed like one chord in the progression, and we went from Disney to creepy. Dude, that bass is walking all over the place. Yeah. Let's get that flute in here. Dude, that double tonguing. And I heard a breath there right at the end. That was literally being played. Not that I would put anything past these guys at this point, but still. Nice to hear that human element. Now that's not double tonguing. That sounds like he's trolling his tongue while pushing the air through. This is one of the few times where I think I actually appreciate the the fade out, because in my mind they never stopped playing. They just kept they just kept making up new things to play. All right, that was a trip. Just phenomenal work. It's I almost have a hard time figuring out like a focal point to talk about, because they were just all over the place. They were showcasing such strong compositionship, and is that a word, compositionship? I don't know. They were showing strong composition and musicianship just throughout. Like every minute they were throwing a wrench into what I thought they were as a band, and it wasn't until I still don't even know what they are. I was gonna say it wasn't until the end until I really understood. But what are they? Are they a jazz band that dabbles in metal influences? Are they a lighter metal band that loves soundtrack? Oh man, I don't know. I don't know this, and I don't think it matters because it's just phenomenal, top to bottom. This is just great stuff. Um, I do have one question. You guys can hit me up in the comments if you know anything about this. Who writes in this band? My guess is that it's a collaborative effort, but everybody kind of has their own shtick. One guy is definitely, the gent guy, and then you have your jazz guy, and then you have your, your classical soundtrack kind of guy, who's really good at building, the ambiance, and maybe somebody else puts melody over that. You definitely, there's got to be somebody in here who loves prog rock. It just prog rock chords, prog rock tones, prog rock composition tricks. They showed up too often, and I'm talking like 70s and 80s prog rock stuff. It's just showing up too often for somebody not to be a super fan of that. But that's kind of how I get it. Like a bunch of the band members each have their niche, and that's kind of their thing. When somebody writes something, they kind of come in and put their twist on what was written, and that's how you get all these hyper mixed sections. Now, I suppose this could just be one person who is hyper versatile in composition, but it doesn't feel like that to me. And I'm not saying each person is only good at writing one thing. I'm sure everybody sort of dabbles in everything. They all have their multiple influence. Nobody's influenced by a single type of playing or a single genre. But I do think that there are some people in the band who have stronger influences. Something influences them stronger than the other things. Like maybe the guy who listens to a lot of metal also enjoys jazz, but he's just not as well versed as their jazz guy, who might also listen to classical or might also listen to rock. But I think everybody kind of has a very a strong suit as far as composition goes, and when they all come together, we end up with these massive influential combination sections. I don't know what to call them. They're some of these sections have metal and jazz and classical and prog influences all in them at the same time. Some of them, I said at the beginning, a lot of the keyboard tones were nostalgic for me. And it sounds very much like they're emulating sound chips on older video game consoles. Specifically to my ears, I heard some Sega Genesis type sounds, which is it's what I grew up with. It's the sounds that I kind of associate with childhood, as far as like video gamey sounds go. And I don't know, just some of those tones, just it. I suppose it can't be a coincidence, but like two or three tones back to back in the same section ish that all were reminiscent of you know melody tones that were used in various games back in the 90s. I just it's a big coincidence. I have to kind of assume that that was done intentionally. Um, but then we have other, I mean, this is just like a giant song of influences. I mentioned somewhere in the 25 minutes of awesomeness we just listened to, the entire band cut out except for the bassist, who was doing bum 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 bum, and then the rest of the band kind of joined in, and like immediately my brain was like, that's Queens of the Stone Age. I was expecting some guy to come in and be like, heaven smiles above you, or whatever he says. And I'm just like, it fits so perfectly. It couldn't have been anything but an homage. Like, I don't think it was the same notes, but it was the same distance, the same style, the same environment. There was one section which I'm 100% certain came out of Octavarium, which means that it could have come off of any song on the Octavarium album, since you guys explained to me that that's kind of, they just took all their songs and mashed them together. Kind of like a nice melody. But yeah, there, or maybe we checked out another Dream Theater song, didn't we? It might have come out of that one. I don't know. There was definitely a Dream Theater section, not just in tone or composition style, but I'd almost want to say that a riff was pulled from it for this song, for that section. Um, we hit the Prog chord, which is, it's like a half step colorful. I really got to look this up because I know what it sounds like. When I hear it, I'm like, that's the Prog chord. And maybe you guys do too. I feel like a lot of prog rock bands use it. I've heard Dream Theater use it. Trying to think of specific examples in other prog rock that we checked out, like when we did Classic Prog Week. Nothing's really jumping to my mind though. But it's like, instead of the leading tone that you think you're going to land on the third chord of your progression, it's like a half step below that, and then it's like super colored, like it's like a diminished, no, not a diminished, maybe diminished. I don't know. Like I said, I gotta look this up. I know what the sound is. I'm sure other people know what it is and have classified it, and I need to just do a little bit of research into that and figure out exactly what that chord is. But it's usually a leading tone to your resolution. And it's always just a half step lower than what I'm expecting is going to go, because it's a leading tone. It's supposed to lead you back to your tonic or wherever you're wanting to resolve to. And it just feels very dissonant because it's so close to what I'm expecting, and it's just not. But I've heard it a lot in prog stuff. But yeah, there's a ton of Tesseract influence, I would assume. I don't know when this came out. 2018. So yeah, I would say that these guys were influenced by Tesseract, especially that first track, The Advocate. I feel like there's definitely a lot of some Tesseract influence in there, not just in the rhythmic guitar riffs that show up often, but also in the vocal stuff. Um, and, like I've said before, this is all kind of what I'm feeling, what I'm getting from the song. None of it can be true. I'm not doing any research here. It's all based on, what I kind of get out of it. These guys may have never heard Tesseract in their life, but I get a very heavy Tesseract feel from several sections in that first track. And then we have a song. What was that? Manifest? Yeah, Manifest. Straight out of like one of Disney's '80s and '90s. Actually, probably like more like the '80s cartoons, '70s, like Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White. The very whimsical orchestral symphony kind of stuff. Just out of nowhere. And then I do want to. This is not. I don't think this has anything to do with like homages or sort of wearing your influences on your sleeve or anything like that. But dude, when he went from that whimsical Disney stuff, and then he changed like one chord in the progression, and it just went eerie and dark. I didn't even really notice it until we were like three repetitions into this chord progression. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa! When did this happen? We were just whimsical a second ago. So that's yeah, that I got to give props to that because usually I can pick up on things like that real easily. I mean, chord progressions are the root of your sound. It's what the energy and atmosphere are made out of. I pay a lot of attention to that because it's the foundation. When your foundation changes, the whole song changes, and for that just to sneak up on me, uh, yeah, I don't get caught off guard by chord changes or atmosphere changes very often. Tone changes, like I don't know why it took me so long to pick up on that, but yeah, that that caught me off guard. That was fun. Uh but yeah, I don't even know where to start with these guys. They're everywhere. We got rock, we got jazz. There's a lot of really cool jazz things going on here. A lot of the keyboard and piano work feels well. There's two styles really. We hear a lot of the like the modern ish rock piano where it's a lot of fast playing. We can hear that at the beginning with the retro tones. We can hear it um, all over. Like just the dude can tear it up on piano when he wants to. But then he also has this jazz style that he can fall into where he doesn't really swing his notes, but he uses lengthier grace notes to kind of give a little bit of syncopation to his playing, which is, I mean, that to me, that's jazzy. Uh, Not like swing, but like going to a nightclub and listening to a band play, not necessarily as a centerpiece performance, but as background noise to the patrons who are drinking and talking and enjoying socializing and stuff like that. Um, like yeah, straight up that kind of piano playing shows up a couple of times in here. I suppose there's also a third section, a third type of playing that's more chord based, where is more fitting in with the soundtrack style of playing, where it's more about creating an atmosphere and using the chords to create a sound floor and a sort of emotion and feeling for a section. But I don't feel that popped up as much as the shredding, the piano shredding, and sort of the jazz piano playing. Uh, I honestly forgot about the singing. They kind of ducked out um, just a few minutes in, maybe like 5 or 6 minutes in. I think the second track had a little bit of singing in it, but the last half of the song, the whole 25-minute song, the last half of it was all instrumental, and that's a little disappointing. I do really enjoy their instrumentals. They're just like I said, they have a fantastic sense for composition, and they can just write so many different styles. It's not like it ever gets boring. I was gonna say bored. The music gets bored. No, it's not like it ever gets boring. There's always something new happening, and they just find ways to keep even transitions interesting. They have smooth transitions, they have harsh transitions, they have everything in the middle. They basically this is the song, everything in the kitchen sink. Just like everything's in here. Um, but yeah, I really really enjoy their singing. Their harmonies are fantastic. I love that their harmonies are not always octaves. Sometimes it's not even fifths. They really play around with note relationships and note distances and the different textures that you can get out of those, out of all the combinations of them. Um, and especially in the first song, maybe in the second as well. we see a couple of 3 and 4 part harmonies, and they are warm, fuzzy sounds, man. I don't, and maybe not everybody gets that. That might just be me, but I love the way voices sound together. I talked about this when we looked at that Agnus Dei, the choir, and there's just something about vocal harmonies that work for me. My ears really enjoy them, and usually in rock and metal, though, you don't usually get more than 2. Um, and when you go for 3 and more, we usually have doubling up, like maybe the background. You have your main singer and then your backup voice, your background singer, your harmony singer, so to speak. And if you have both of your guitarists doing that or something, it's usually both of them singing the same note. You're not usually going for 3 notes. Um, if you do have 3 or 4 people singing unique sounds in rock and metal, we tend to go towards gang vocals, which it's a very metal thing to do when you have that many voices. It's about the cacophony and turning uh, voices into a percussive sound. There's not really a note in there because everybody's just kind of saying, yelling whatever note they feel like, and it's more about the percussive element and the volume of it. So, yeah, I just really enjoy hearing 3 and 4 part true harmonies with rock music under it. And they just executed extremely well. I don't know if there is a main singer here. There's definitely 2 people who seem to do the majority of the singing, but everybody's voices just blend together very well. And I think it's hard to really find that. It's more about luck, I suppose, finding additional instrumentalists for your band that also their voices just line up with yours. Um, and I don't know, it's an interesting phenomenon because when you harmonize with yourself, you end up making a single sound because your texture is going to be nearly identical between both of your vocal tracks. So the sounds really merge together in most people's ears. But when you get somebody whose voice lines up with yours, their timbre is just synchronizes with yours. Um, you end up getting that kind of one sound idea, but it's also 2 separate sounds. And I don't know, I love that. It's very different from, to me it's like a middle ground between harmonizing with yourself and harmonizing with somebody whose voice is different than yours. Um, and I guess for example of that, a lot of country music has this, especially when you have male and female singers harmonizing with each other. Country does this a lot. Um, the 2 voices are very distinct. You can hear that the notes have relationship to each other. Usually, often they work with octaves in contemporary popular country music. So you can definitely hear that the notes have a relationship with each other, but they're still 2 distinct voices. And like I said, the opposite of that would be harmonizing with yourself, which is what we see a lot in sort of pop rock, punk rock, emo, scene stuff. Um, and those voices tend to blend together. And this is just like a nice middle ground where there's still 2 unique timbres or 3 unique timbres, but it still has that blend to it. And it just sounds so good to my ears. But it's such a rare thing because, like I said, you're trying to find somebody who can play in your band at the level that you want or need, what your band requires. In this case, phenomenal musicianship, who can also sing and whose voice happens to line up with yours. So it's kind of a rare thing, but I love when it happens. It's just phenomenal. I, I could probably ramble on about these guys for a very long time, but I don't know what else I could say that's substantial other than me just raving about them. Um, they can do everything, and I think that's that's just kind of the thesis to this ramble, this rant right here. Is they're just so versatile. I will probably, is this a $10 disc? Yeah, I will probably be picking this up. This Friday coming up, November 6th, is Bandcamp Friday. This happens to be Bandcamp. I don't know if you saw if you recognize that from the little picture in picture video up there. This is a Bandcamp page. On Friday, November 6th, Bandcamp is doing a thing, I believe it's the first Friday of every month, where they waive all the revenue sharing fees. So everything you purchase, 100% of that goes to the artists. I will probably be picking this up on Friday. Was Artificial Silence? Yeah, that album is just phenomenal. Well, I say that album. We did listen to a good portion of it. It was at 25 minutes, and there's only 8, 14. Yeah, we listened to half the album, give or take, in just those 4 songs. So I'm excited to hear the rest of it. I'll be picking this up. If you guys are interested in it as well, like I said, this Friday coming up is a good time to do that, as well as any other bands that might be on your, to buy list, your wish list, that have Bandcamp accounts. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this one up and just say that I'm gonna be picking this album up, and who did this one? Tim Reed, dude, thank you so much. Fantastic choice. Just phenomenal work. I don't know how you found out about him, but thank you for bringing him to my attention so I can show him, show everybody who watches, and bring that to everybody else's attention. And yeah, these guys, holy cow. Okay, so one cool thing about Bandcamp is that a lot of people tend to put their personnel on the list, and there are a lot of people here. It looks like it's a 4-piece band. They had an engineer and a masterer. So the person who played the flute is not in the band. And then they have oboe, clarinet, bassoon, trombone, percussion, piano, harp, 2 violinists, a viola, and a cellist. 2 cellists. 2 violas. Oh, so this is part of an orchestra. Yeah, the orchestra was conducted by Austin Shend. It had a flute, an oboe, a clarinet, a bassoon, a trombone, 2 percussion players, piano, harp, 3 first violins, 3 second violins, 2 violas, and 2 cellos. And there was a choir as well that had, oh geez, we're looking at like a 20-ish piece choir. Well, if I'm blown away. Holy cow. Yeah. I got it. I got to pick this. I got to support that sort of work for people make an album for themselves as well as a full choir and it says an orchestra. I guess technically it is an orchestra, but in my eyes it's a little small. But we have woodwinds, we have a brass, we have 1 trombone player. Trombone's a pretty good pick if you're only gonna have 1 person in your brass section. They have nice range. They're in the middle of trumpets and trombones, so you get some of your higher end. I mean trumpets and tubas. You get your higher end, you get your lower end. Not a bad pick. We have a percussion section. We have string. So I guess technically it is an orchestra. It's just a little small. But yeah, 4 people wrote a rock adjacent album that incorporates a choir and an orchestra. Yeah, I'm supporting that. I'm supporting that hard. All right, like I was saying, this Friday coming up, Friday, November 6th, is Bandcamp Friday. So if there's any Bandcamp albums you're looking to pick up that's a good day to do it, including Artificial Silence, which I will be picking up on Friday. All right, you guys can hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this 25-minute epic that just jumped through a bajillion influences and genres. This is the most proggiest thing I've ever heard in my life. While you're down there in the comments, you can like, subscribe, and ring the bell. You can also check out some of the links in the description, including a link to the Patreon. If you'd like to vote on future bands and future themes, as well as join the Discord community, you can do all that for just $1 a month. It's a pretty good deal, I think. I mean, patting myself on the back there, I made that deal, but it's a pretty good one. And I got a special video. Normally I only do one on Saturdays, but it is Halloween, so stay tuned for an extra frightening special edition of Critical Reactions. Oh man, why do I do things like this? All right, that's coming on. It should already be available for you to watch. It should come out at the same time as this one. I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC, with Sunday's special selection from the premium list. And then we'll start next week's special selection week, where we look at more special selections. And then after that, we'll go into special selection weekend as usual, where we check out more special selections. I hope you like these selections that are specially selected, because we got a lot of them. All right, so yeah, you guys stay safe out there. Keep being awesome, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos. And don't forget to watch the Halloween special.